On October 21st, IBJ unveils the 2025 Women of Influence. Join us to celebrate Indy's most inspiring leaders and hear the powerful stories behind their success. Don't miss this moment. Register now at ibj.com/influence 2025.
This is the IBJ Podcast for the week of Monday, September 29th, 2025. Brought to you by Taft. I'm your host, Mason King. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Kent Kramer registered an inkling of his calling early in high school when he started working for a supermarket in his native Muncie. He loved helping customers, getting to know them better, examining what they were buying, and seeing how they stretched their food dollars. After college, he jumped on to the store management track with Sam's Club, deep in the heart of American consumer culture. This ultimately led him to his dream job with the global nonprofit Goodwill Industries, best known for the thrift stores that help power a wide variety of programs that help people become economically self-sufficient. Kramer became president and CEO of Goodwill of Central Indiana in 2015 and has captained aggressive expansion of its programs and footprint. Now known, at least for the time being, as Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana, the organization serves 40 Hoosier counties and 21 counties in central Illinois, while it establishes its model in Puerto Rico. Kramer has overseen impressive expansion of his organization's employment, education, and health services that includes growing its maternal and natal care program to all 92 Indiana counties, and scaling up its Excel Center program for adult education on a national level. Over the summer, IBJ Media recognized Kramer as the first recipient of its Nonprofit Executive of the Year award, and he is our guest for this week's edition of the IBJ Podcast, discussing his early love for retail, how Central Indiana's Goodwill extended its influence to a U.S. territory, and how the organization has handled the challenges of several mergers with like-minded nonprofits. Here's our conversation. It's my pleasure to welcome to the podcast Kent Kramer, President and CEO of Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana. Kent, thanks for making time to come to the studio this morning.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for having me.
So our interview today is in large part going to be a follow-up to IBJ's 2025 Nonprofit Excellence Awards, at which you were named Nonprofit Executive of the Year. So congratulations for that.
Thank you very much.
Sure. That actually was the first time that IBJ has given that award, and you were the first chief executive our judges wanted to recognize. It sounds like I'm really trying to butter you up, but I don't
it's working.
I don't know if they told you that, but it's pretty cool. Parenthetically, I discovered that the two of us have at least one thing in common.
What's that?
We both are members of the class of 1985.
Yes.
Our high school classes of 1985. Therefore, I guess we both had the opportunity to go to 40th reunions this summer. Did you go to your 40th reunion?
So the opportunity was not there. We did not have one for some reason. It just did not come to fruition.
It didn't materialize?
Yeah, no, it did not.
How big was your graduating class?
So we had maybe 350, class of 1985, Muncie Central High School, Muncie, Indiana. But I guess no one stepped up to do the organizing. So it's something we have to step out and maybe for our 45th. Did you go to your 40th?
I did. I'm not going to say boycotted, but but I didn't go to 20 and 30, even though I thought 10 was really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I was very surprised. And then I went to 40 just last weekend. And it was, you always kind of feel a little nervous about,
yes.
seeing some people who, at one point in your life were your best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people who, like you went to school with, in some cases, for 12 years, because it's just all the north side of Indianapolis. And it was great.
That's awesome.
It was really wonderful. So I encourage you to take the reins.
There's still time left in this year. Maybe a few of us can get together and get something going.
You should do it. I think you have nothing going on. I think you should do it. So you grew up in Muncie?
I did. I grew up in Muncie, not too far from downtown, near Ball State, near Muncie Central High School. So that was on the river there in Muncie. So it was a great place to grow up. And it's actually where I fell in love with retail. I worked in a grocery store, no longer there, Wise Supermarkets, for 3 years in high school, and just fell in love with retail and the service industry, and went to Indiana State from there. And when I graduated from Indiana State, that's where I gravitated toward jobs similar to what I worked in high school. So I ended up at Sam's Club.
That is incredible. All right. You're already jetting way past where we should be at this point. What is it that you loved about retail? I mean, I'm assuming that you started off like a stock person or a bagging person.
Actually, yeah, that was back in the day where most groceries had bag people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bagged groceries and for about a year in all elements of weather. And for me, it was just fun talking with people, getting to know customers, a lot of repeat customers in that grocery store. And the first of the month and Fridays were really busy, paydays, a lot of automotive jobs in Muncie still at the time. And so it was just, for me, it was an incredible experience because it was very social. And you're always moving. And I realized that, probably for me, being out and about and moving a lot in a job was where I would gravitate towards.
Did you note, I mean, you probably did because maybe you couldn't help it, like what people were buying? I'm always interested in, profiling is the wrong word, but I'm always interested in figuring, what can I learn about this person from what they're buying?
Absolutely. I'd still do that today.
Yeah.
But back then it's where I really first learned how people would stretch a paycheck or stretch, subsidies they might get in what they bought. And this grocery store was in an economic area that, had people in poverty and that would shop in there, and they would really stretch. So I just remember banquet pot pies on occasion were on sale for $4 and people would load up their shopping carts. Totino's pizzas were like 99 cents, and banquet pot pies. And so I really kind of started to realize how different people shopped.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like you, that amazes me today in a Goodwill store, and I see what people are buying, and I like to ask a lot of questions too.
And that was your job throughout high school?
It was, yeah. Bagging groceries and then stocking groceries. And then I got into actually a supervision role where I was closing the store at nights. And I loved it so much. I worked 6 days a week, and always after school, 3 to 10, 6 days a week. And then my senior year, I was able to work even more hours because I could go to school half day and then go to work, at 1:00. So literally worked overtime almost every week my senior year of high school.
That is incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
For me, it was as much social and fun and staying busy and making, some money. I wanted to buy a car and just have fun. And that gave me the opportunity to do that.
Why didn't you go to Ball State? Because you went to Indiana State University.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And it was a great decision for me. I had seen a lot of my, even at the grocery store, counterparts that went to Ball State and for whatever reason didn't make it, didn't last. And I saw family members that had done the same. So for me, it was, okay, I know I want to get my college education. There's a lot of influences in Muncie for me at the time, and I wanted to go a place where I could get a fresh start. And Indiana State, I was able to get a academic scholarship there and a Pell Grant, and off to Terre Haute I went, and it was an awesome 5 years and 4 summers of my life.
You were on the 5-year plan.
I was.
We have 2 things in common. Right on.
Yes.
And your degree from ISU was?
Business management.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the 5 years and 4 summers. I truly, just like a grocery store, I love college. I really enjoyed it. I would probably start with 15 hours and then, go to 12. I wasn't really concerned about when I would finish, just because I was working, I was involved in a fraternity, I was involved in student government and leadership opportunities on campus. And that's why I was there 4 summers too. I just really enjoyed the environment. And, after 5 years, I'm like, oh, look, I have 124 hours. I have to graduate. So it just kind of like, and I thought about you just keep going, but Sam's Club came to campus and did an interview. And this was in December of my senior year. So I still had a whole nother semester to go. First part of January, I had a job offer. So it was kind of like the staying in college for even longer that, because I had a job in the back pocket, I went ahead and graduated.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what were you doing with Sam's Club?
So I started out as a trainee in Springfield, Missouri. And over the next 11 years, moved 8 times. And it was at a time where Sam's was in heavy growth mode for Walmart. And if you raised your hand and said, send me anywhere, they would. And they would send you to markets that really needed help. So I went from Missouri to, this was funny. They moved, we got it wasn't an email at the time. It was called something different, a Twix. We got a Twix because email didn't exist, at least, corporate wide.
Yeah.
We got that intercompany Twix that said, we're moving east. We're moving to Fishers, Indiana. And so I was first one to raise my hand back in Missouri and moving out to Fishers. And so it was great for me because it was, close to home. And so I ended up working in, 4 or 5 different stores in Indianapolis. My first store, and this is all in the first 2.5 years, the first store that I ran on my own was in Lafayette.
Yeah. So these are all management positions.
These are all management.
Yeah.
So just trainee, assistant manager, co-manager, store manager. And then I became a store manager in Washington, D.C., and then a district manager and then regional manager in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, but started having a family, first child in
How
DC.
did you like that? Real quick. My brother was in food sales.
Okay.
Right out of school, and he moved about once a year. And I think he's the kind of guy that really loved that kind of thing.
I did. I gravitated to it. And, for me, it was, sad to leave people you'd work with, but then it was also exciting to start new and build something fresh. And a lot of it was building new stores and starting new regions. And so for me, that was pretty exciting. And that whole process of building a team and then, having success with a grand opening. And then, so for me, that was great, but retail's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
So first child in DC, second child in New Jersey. My wife was from Carmel. I'm from Muncie. And, could just see that I don't know how long we can sustain this. Because they had, when we were in New Jersey, over Thanksgiving, got the call that we're going to moved to New Hampshire. And so we loaded up a rider. We got a rider truck. We got a condo up in New Jersey or up in Pennsylvania. Came home for a few days over Christmas and just kind of saw how happy my wife was here and honestly how happy I would be here with a growing family. So I called Walmart and they relocated us here in Indianapolis instead of New Hampshire, just in a different role. I had to drop down in roles, but they kept me busy for a couple years.
And I'm sorry, this was it Kmart?
Then I went to Kmart.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
you
I
were
came
in
back.
Indiana, and then
I came back at Sam's Club. And then a VP that I'd worked with at Sam's Club hired me to Kmart, and that was 18 months. I say 18 of the longest months of my life because Kmart filed bankruptcy during that time.
Gotcha.
The 20 stores I was supervising was cut down to 10 because we closed the other 10. And I had to be the one that stands in front of the employees and tell them that. So it was a really, really tough time. I learned a ton though. And that experience plus the Sam's Club experience got my foot in the door at Goodwill 23 years ago. So that was, both were wonderful experiences and gave me the platform to apply for a job that became my dream job in my dream organization. So back in the day, I don't know if you're ever in this situation, but you put a resume on monster.com and that's what I did. So monster.com, actually you could put your resume on there without putting your name on there. And a recruiter for Goodwill had found me and and went through that interview process. And I didn't know much about Goodwill besides I bought a couch, in college, and I used to buy, old suits and stuff to have fun at Halloween. But when I got in there and started interviewing, and I got into some of the stores, and I saw a lot of this is very similar to what I've been doing since high school. And, store managers and team leaders and people that stock, people that ring out the register. And at the same time, what I saw with Goodwill was this care for the people that you employ at all levels. And not saying it didn't necessarily happen before, but this was intentionality around caring for the people. And it is today, the people we employ, we look at them as, how can we help them increase their independence and reach their potential? Not just the people that are walking in off the street, but our own employees, which we have almost 6,000 now. How do we help them find success in life? And I just loved that. I loved that, 23 years ago today, and 23 years ago, and I continue to love it today.
Okay. Let's say that you had gone to your reunion, or that there was a reunion.
Yes.
You went to my reunion. And so somebody walks up to you and goes, "Kent, great to see you. How you doing? What are you doing now?" And you say, "Well, I work for Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana." In any situation where you're in, you say that. What association do people make first?
Usually, and you talk to any Goodwill employee out there, they'll say, "What store do you work at?" That's the first association that they have. They don't realize the depth and the breadth of the organization. But I would say in the last decade, people say, "Oh, I just love what you guys do." It's not necessarily, "Oh, you work for a thrift store," which I would proudly say I do. My wife gets a little upset with me sometimes because at a cocktail party or at a Colts game, someone will say, "Hey, what do you do?" And I say, "I work for Goodwill." With a smile on my face. And because I proudly work for Goodwill, I just happen to have a CEO title, but no matter what my title's been, I've proudly worked for Goodwill because I really believe in the work that we do. And I love the platform to be able to tell people about that.
And then say you get into a deeper conversation. What is it that you want people really to know about Goodwill?
Yeah, really, it's the core of our mission. And I said it briefly. It is, no matter the people that we employ, which is about 6,000, or the people that are in our high schools, which is about 5,500 individuals in our 19 high schools that we operate, or in our nurse family partnership program where we're pairing a nurse with a low-income first-time mom, or any of our other programs. It's about 10,000 lives a day that we touch. I want people to know that Goodwill is working really hard to make sure those people have the resources they need so that they can increase their independence, they can reach their potential, and have success in life. And Goodwill's a pretty complex organization, and success looks different. Success looks different for a lot of different people. So if you're an individual that's 25, you have Down syndrome, and you're looking for your first job, success for you might be a 10-hour a week job at Goodwill, helping take donations. And for you, that is, you're on top of the world. If you've been recently incarcerated and you're coming out after 10 years, just having somebody say yes to employment, and then all of a sudden this company that said yes is wrapping resources around you and helping you situate your life for success, helping you reunite with your family, helping you reinstate a driver's license or expunge your record. That looks a lot different than a person that has Down syndrome, or you're one of the 470,000 working age Hoosiers that do not have adults that do not have a high school diploma. Success for you is getting that diploma, a certification, maybe further education, and then landing a job where you can take care of your family where you haven't been able to. So for me, I want people to know it looks different for a lot, but we wake up every day trying to help those individuals that raise their hand looking, for a hand up, not a handout, but a hand up and saying, yes, let me engage with Goodwill. I know good things are going to happen from this engagement.
Okay. So you started working on your MBA. It was from Anderson University,
Yes.
Is that right? In 2011. I'm guessing that you made the decision, maybe you wanted more executive responsibility at Goodwill, and hey, MBA seems like the way everybody goes? Or does somebody come to you and say, Ken, we think, you could be, an important guy for us. You probably need an MBA.
Yes. So it's pieces of that.
Yeah.
So I raised my hand to go to Goodwill Industries International Executive Development Program. And this was in 2009, 2010. And I was at the top of from a job satisfaction, being the vice president of retail for Goodwill. We were growing, we were opening stores, just having a ball, growing responsibilities because the footprint kept growing. But I was asked to participate in this 2-year executive development program, and it is for individuals that want to become a Goodwill CEO. There's 150 Goodwills across North America. Each has their own geography. So there's these job postings.
You're kidding, 150?
No. There's these
of organizations, multi-county organizations.
Multi-county, sometimes multi-state organizations.
That's amazing.
Like Kentucky is like, they've got almost the entire state. We've got about half of Indiana and some other territories. So it's just, it's like United Way. It's like Salvation Army. There are these chapters. So there's 150 chapters of Goodwills across North America. And, I happened to be in one that was one of the fastest growing. We were opening 5-6 stores a year. Just a lot of really fun stuff was happening. But when I got into that executive development program, my interests in continuing to expand my career and run a Goodwill, it, kind of came to fruition. And once I finished that, I was assigned a mentor. And this mentor was the CEO in the Phoenix, Arizona Goodwill. And I went out to meet him. And I had my resume and my portfolio and everything that we'd done. And he happened to have the current listing of CEO openings. And 5 of the 6 required an advanced degree, either in, some type of social service or mission or social work or operations, retail, that type of thing. So that's when I kind of said, I probably need to. I'd always wanted to, but this was what gave me the opportunity to. And Goodwill, my local Goodwill got behind it, and helped with the tuition support. And so it was with 4 kids in school, it was a long 2 years getting your MBA. Being the oldest guy in class too was interesting, but I really enjoyed that at Anderson University. And the funny thing is, a few years later, after I had graduated, and the job posting for our Goodwill here, it was Goodwill Central Indiana at the time.
Yeah.
Goodwill Central Indiana. I look at that job posting. What was not on there was a requirement for an MBA. I'm still glad I got it. I know it helped me.
That's awesome.
But I'm like, come on.
That is super funny. Okay, hold on. Okay, let's take a quick break so we can hear from our sponsor. This is the IBJ Podcast.
Taft, today's modern law firm. With more than 800 attorneys in 8 primary Midwest markets and the District of Columbia, we provide solutions to the business issues facing middle market and emerging companies alike. We do this through a highly collaborative and inclusive team approach. Taft, the modern law firm. To learn more, visit taftlaw.com.
Do you know of a stellar leader or an outstanding organization that deserves a proper shout-out? Nominate them for IBJ's awards. From 40 in their 40s and Women of Influence to Nonprofit and Healthcare Excellence Awards, we're celebrating rising stars, seasoned leaders, and organizations making a difference. Discover which programs are accepting nominations now at ibj.com/nominate.
We're back with this week's edition of the IBJ Podcast and my conversation with Kent Kramer about his footprint-busting tenure as president and CEO of Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana. And then you initially, I think it was 2012, became the chief operating officer.
Yes.
Is that right? So that was already a step in the right direction.
It was.
Yeah.
Yes. That was while I was getting my MBA. And that was, I had a wonderful mentor. Jim McClelland was in the CEO role for 41 years before me. So he was my mentor. I'd worked with him for 13 years. And that gave me the opportunity to take on more responsibility. And it was a national search. a long interview process when I became CEO, but most of 2014 was spent interviewing and, preparing for interviews and then being a COO of a large organization. But Jim knew what he was doing. He was setting me up for success, whether it had been at our Goodwill or at another Goodwill someplace. Our Goodwill here is so revered. To be the COO here, or a high level position is just a great resume builder for any Goodwill across the country.
Mm-hmm. So the word that keeps popping up in my notes is growth. So we could probably talk for 3 hours about the growth of Goodwill of Central Indiana, as it was called when you became the CEO. I'm going to propose we boil it down to about 20 minutes. It's a podcast.
Yes.
One of the easiest ways to talk about growth of the organization is coverage area.
Yes.
So 2017, Indianapolis-based Goodwill merged with Clarksville-based Goodwill of Southern Indiana. So how did that come about?
Yes, we have at Goodwill of Central Indiana at the time, we had a new concept called the Excel Center. It's the adult high school I spoke of before. And we had opened a couple here in the Indianapolis area and was working to grow that model here. And then as we started talking about that across the Goodwill network, others started to gain interest. And we had worked with the Goodwill in Austin, Texas to open, worked with the Goodwill in South Bend, and the Goodwill in Memphis, Tennessee. So this was kind of a growth model for us. We were licensing the model to other Goodwills to operate. So I took a trip down to Clarksville to talk to the CEO, her name is Candy Barksdale, about that. And she's like, I just don't know if we would have the bandwidth to do something like that. And the leadership and I'm getting ready to retire and I'm driving back from that trip and she calls me and says, we need that here in Clarksville. Instead of you operating a school in our territory or instead of us trying to figure out how to do it with a new CEO, why don't you and I talk about a merger? And that's kind of got that started. We got our boards involved and was able to execute that. And their actual corporate office now, what was their corporate office is an Excel Center serving, adults without high school diplomas down there. And we have nurse family partnership. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, for us and for that region.
Mm-hmm. But then you also assume responsibility for all the programs.
Correct.
That they're working, which is, not insignificant.
Yeah.
How many counties did you grow by with that merger?
That was 11 counties. So we have 40 counties here in central and southern Indiana. We had 39, and then we were able to work with Fort Wayne Goodwill to acquire Jay County and open a store up there. They did not have interest in that. We did. So that took us to 40 counties here in central and southern Indiana.
Okay. And is that where you are right now, 40 counties?
It is. Now we operate nurse family partnership in 62 counties. So we've gotten the approval from some of our neighboring Goodwills to operate that. But we do that in quite a bit of the state as well.
So in a sense, you have an apples to apples merger. I mean, you just give these people are Goodwill, we're Goodwill. We're just going to link up. What are the challenges though in combining two organizations like that? There's,
what a lot of people say is the biggest challenge is the culture and combining two cultures. What is, a larger organization with a smaller organization. And, it's called a merger, but sometimes it really feels like an acquisition. If you see people leaving, that CEO was retiring, a couple other people retired at the same time. And, there's a rebrand and it's all very similar to what's in the larger territory, but the systems change is what's really difficult. Different payroll system, accounting system, different auditors, insurance. So there's just a lot of logistics types things to do, and the training and education, point of sale system at the registers, even your security system, even the music that's playing in the stores, but the programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you might pick up programs you have no knowledge of, so you want to retain as much talent as you can, so that your programs can continue and people can continue to be served. But yeah, but it's a big puzzle. I really enjoy and our team enjoys trying to figure out the pieces of the puzzle to make it work.
I'm assuming this isn't just, Kent driving down
No,
a couple of days a week and
No.
standing up on a desk
No.
and talking to people.
no, we've got an incredible team, and this is why I just gravitate towards growth and mergers and those types of opportunities. One, I believe in them, especially in the nonprofit sector, where you can reduce overhead and invest more in a mission, invest more in people. So I just believe in it. But also for a team that's driving with you, and you want to keep them excited. You want to keep them in a place where there's always new things happening and more responsibility. They have a chance to grow within the organization. So I truly believe a thriving organization, if you look at any thriving organization, growth is probably in their mindset. And that's the kind of the way we look at it. So for me, adding new stores and adding, more revenue and more mission program, it's all wonderful. But what's really wonderful is to see how much capacity people can take on and how they can grow and do better for their families. And just providing more opportunities for more people is what's exciting as well.
I'm really fascinated by the whole concept of culture. I talk about this on the podcast a lot because I feel like, I'm not sure I believe in culture, but maybe I do. And in a situation like that, what's the best way to say this? Do you allow for there still to be, a sense of the original culture? Because culture is created by people, and you want to keep people, and just people still want to feel like, they're at their place.
Yes.
You don't want to, come in with, a 500-page booklet about, well, here's how we do things. Is that something that you can even do?
So you might come in with a 500-page book, but it's empty. Right? You go in, you listen first, and you figure out what are they doing well and what are you doing well. And there are going to be things that you pick up that they're doing well. And, from a culture standpoint, most organizations will tell their people they care about them. And culture and having a positive culture is where you can actually show it. For us, when we say we care about our people, we pay to have visiting nurses. They're on our team, visit every site. And anybody that raises their hand and says, I'd like to have my sugar checked, or I need help losing weight, or to stop smoking, I'm having mental health issues. We have a nurse that visits every site every month, and that's showing care. So when we stand in a group of new employees and say, we really care about you, we want you to be successful. That may not be here, or that may be here. But here's some of the tools. We're going to give you a mission coach. Every employee has access to a mission coach. And these are individuals that drive around and visit every site. And the first thing they do is help employees knock down barriers. That barrier might be they're homeless. That barrier might be they don't have childcare and it's impacting their work. But then they also help them set goals so they can become a team leader or a store manager and make more money. So for us, that's how we build culture, by showing that we care and providing resources where people can really appreciate them and utilize them.
Okay. Central Indiana and Southern Indiana getting together, that makes a lot of sense. In 2023, Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana was granted the rights to develop Goodwill in Puerto Rico, where the organization, the larger Goodwill organization, had never had a presence.
Correct.
So this is an island. This is thousands of miles away. Why would an Indiana organization be the best fit for starting something in Puerto Rico?
So the growth is always on our mind.
Mm.
And we saw the success that we had merging with Southern Indiana. We doubled the employment, quadrupled the mission impact, opened to school. We saw firsthand how bringing resources together can have positive impact on a community. We were, since 2017, kind of on the hunt. Is there any other Goodwill that would like to join forces with us? It just doesn't happen very often. There's a lot of ownership and local autonomy, and so it just doesn't happen very often. So we just started, is there any unassigned territory? And there was, a few counties here and there in Pennsylvania or West Virginia, but no people living there. And then we thought, And Betsy, our Chief Mission and Education Officer, said, well, what about a U.S. territory? I wonder if that qualifies. So we actually did a search. What's the largest U.S. territory? Puerto Rico. Did just a quick search on it. 25% of their GDP is retail. There's no major thrift presence on the island. 40% of their adults have dropped out of high school. I mean, the alignment was eerie with what we do well. Infant mortality is high. Nurse Family Partnership it combats that. Workforce development is needed. There is a high population of people that have been incarcerated that need resources. So we raised our hand, and we had been working on a plan for a while because we knew the process. When you raise your hand, it kickstarts the international goodwill to say, anybody else interested? Mm-hmm. Anybody else that's interested can raise their hand too. And of everybody that raises their hand in this 2-week period, you have, I think it was 60 days to put together a plan. Now, our plan was done at that time. We were ready. Yeah. And it was a 857-page plan. And everything I just talked about, we put in there that we're going to invest in this and we're going to be on the ground. And that's what we've done. So we were, the other two that raised their hand dropped out. So we were the only one that they were assessing at the time. And they're holding us accountable to our plan, but we're working that plan since 2023, and we're on target to exceed all goals and have more impact. And, our board, that was kind of a tough pill to swallow at first when we brought it up. But once they got into it and started learning it and just kind of seeing what's happened across the nonprofit land, there's not going to be 150 Goodwills 10 years from now. It's going to consolidation is going to continue. Technology is your friend, and you're able to do more with a similar overhead structure, and that's what we're working towards.
Okay, so here in Indiana, you have a team of people who are in charge of Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Okay,
but we've hired a team there.
Right.
Right now, we have a district manager that's over one store that's open. Which is, by the way, our largest store that's ever opened from a volume standpoint. We have 3 new stores under construction that will be open. 2 will be open by the end of this year, and another in January. And then hopefully 3 more projects next year. Nurse Family Partnership has started there. We started serving our first family. I was there 2 weeks ago and met with a lot of people from the Department of Education. So working to get an Excel center there, but we have a retail expert that's running the retail division there and works with our team here. We have a nurse supervisor that's in charge of that nursing program, and we will be hiring eventually somebody that's going to lead our education efforts there, but working closely with our team here.
Is it better to start from scratch?
Yes.
Than it is to go into an existing organization?
It's a blank canvas, and it's different, I should say. Mm-hmm. We've been blessed with merging with other really good organizations. It's just when you're hiring somebody and you can expose them to the culture right away, and you're not like breaking down another culture or, this person over here is accepting change. This one just learned about it. Now they've got to figure it out. So change is really difficult, especially in mergers and acquisitions. And so, yeah, starting with a blank canvas can be easier on that front.
And the retail side basically fund everything else?
So it not 100%. It funds the overhead. It funds a lot of the wraparound resources that we need, but we also go for grants and federal funding, state funding. Our high schools, the state has been very, we operate that with state funding. Nurse Family Partnership is, these are, programs where you're hiring professionals and it would deplete. We wouldn't be able to grow at the rate we've been able to grow if we relied 100% on the proceeds from retail. Mm-hmm. But it does provide a lot of strength, a lot of balance sheet strength, which allows us to grow as well.
Okay. This June, Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana and Goodwill Industries of Central Illinois announced plans to merge. So this is my understanding. The combined nonprofit will serve 21 counties in Central Illinois, 40 counties in central and southern Indiana. You will lead the new entity.
Yes.
How did this one come about?
Very similar in that Don Johnson, I finally refer to him as Miami Vice, but Don Johnson is the CEO there, was the CEO there, just retired a couple months ago, but he was retiring. He was from Terre Haute, and went to college in Illinois and just kind of stayed there. But he had seen what had happened with the Clarksville merger, and he had seen a case study that we had done that we had completed on that merger. And he had been fighting a good fight in Illinois, based in Peoria, central Illinois, and had done a really good job growing. But their capacity to really grow and maximize their territory was really limited because of their, they were doing everything they could. But he saw that, by merging with a larger Goodwill and one that had a lot of retail experience, which we did, and these, kind of community changing mission programs. And he saw all that and said, I want to bring that to Illinois. And so he called me last December, and then we proceeded to, kind of talk through what that could look like. And then we engaged our boards, and, they had started a search for a new CEO, and then he brought this idea to them. So we had several meetings with their board and presentations. They came over and looked at our facilities and got to look at our culture and what we do. And after many months of courtship, both boards had a vote and voted to do it. So now, oddly, Goodwill Industries of Central Illinois is a part of, they dissolved, and now they're part of Goodwill of Central and Southern Indiana. That's why we've got to figure out a naming.
Oh, okay. So we don't have a name yet for the whole.
We don't have a name. We do have a DBA for Goodwill of Central Illinois. So they're operating. We are operating that under that, but it gets a little confusing and complicated, but we've got to sort through in the next couple of months.
So they didn't have all the same programs that you have.
They did not. They have some really good ones. They have an incredible homeless veterans facility that would love, part of your question earlier, would love to figure out how we could replicate that and bring that into other parts of our territory, because it does incredible work. And they work with youth at a greater extent than we do. We're learning a ton there. So there's some youth programs I think that could have some legs here as well. So it's just really exciting. I was there this morning, actually.
Were you really?
Yeah, drove back. We had so we kept.
What time did you wake up this morning?
Early. We had board orientation yesterday. So 4 of their board members from Illinois joined our board in Indiana. And that's kind of an important part of it too. And that's, from a negotiating standpoint. So we got 4 really talented board members that are part of the larger board now. And so I had orientation yesterday for that.
And sort of the same situation, I'm guessing, as you had with Southern Indiana, where you're taking on a big chunk, integrating culture, making sure people know how it all works, they feel like they belong, and getting used to new ideas.
Yes.
Okay. So I assume that it helped to have been through that before.
It did help.
Okay.
It did help.
Yeah. How much time have you spent in Illinois just recently?
So, with Puerto Rico, and then we, obviously have a large enterprise here. Not as much as I would like. I try and get over every other week or so.
Okay.
And been to all the sites, and we're going through all that integration right now with systems and HR and POS, and so the teams are working really hard. We've got people over there every day, and we've got people from Illinois coming here. We have a sister store concept where one of our strong store managers is linked with one of their, they had 10 stores. So we've got that. So there's a lot of back and forth, but the integration is happening at a really fast pace. And I love what I'm seeing.
So for all intents and purposes, the merger has occurred.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We've got probably 2 months of operating under the one umbrella now.
Okay. The Excel program, that started in 2010.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay, with one school.
Yes.
How many schools are there now?
So 2010, one school, 300 seats. 6 months into it, there were 2,000 on the wait list to get into that school. So we have been growing since then. So now we operate 18 Excel centers in our territory. None in Illinois yet, but we operate 18 in Indiana. And then there's another 6 that other Goodwills operate in Indiana. South Bend has 4. And then we helped the Goodwill in Terre Haute and the Goodwill in Evansville open theirs this past year. So there's 24 Excel centers in Indiana. And then Excel Center 48 across the country opened in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia, last month. And this month, just a couple weeks ago, Rockford, Illinois, Goodwill opened up Excel Center number 49. And Excel Center number 50 will open in Kansas City, hopefully here in October. So there'll be 50 Excel Centers since 2010. There are 29 million working age adults that do not have a high school diploma. And for those folks to engage in today's economy, it's almost impossible. So people that learn about the Excel Center, that's why there's wait lists all over the country for Goodwills that have Excel centers. We just got to figure out a better way to get funding, because it's, we got to rely on the state. Our state has been incredibly supportive of this concept, and they see great value in it. So they continue to support it. And we continue to churn out grads, hundreds and hundreds of grads each year that take these jobs that employers want.
And these are specifically for adults.
Yes.
It's not a college substitute for an 18-year-old.
Right. No,
okay.
This is a average age is 25. We will have 18-year-olds because at the age of 16, they got pregnant or they had to drop out of school to get a job to take care of their family, or they got, mixed up with the juvenile justice system. And, 10 years later, they're saying, what can I do? Or 2 years later, as an 18-year-old, they're like, okay, I need to get back and get this done. So it's a true Core 40 high school diploma. So it's not a GED. It's a high school diploma. And 100% of our grads last year graduated with either college dual credits or an industry recognized certification. So they are ready for either college, 40% go on to college. These are dropouts that go on to college, or they go into the workforce and they're taking these jobs where these certifications and that can really help them land a job as a welder, certified medical assistant, patient access coordinator, and a lot of different certifications that folks are able to key into.
Got it. And I want to go over the nurse family partnership again real quick. Explain what that is.
So this is a program that came to Indiana in 2011. Goodwill brought it here. And at the time, we had some federal funding that was in place that we were able to get to have a team of nurses, 8 nurses and a supervisor, and serve about 200 families in Indianapolis. Over the years, we've been able to show evidence that this works. And it's pairing a registered nurse with a first-time low-income Medicaid-eligible mother. And this nurse she'll meet this mom in the first trimester of the pregnancy and stay with that mom until the baby turns 2. And the outcomes from that interaction, about 55 visits during that 2.5-year period, the outcomes are incredible. Birth outcomes, maternal health outcomes, the need for remediation in kindergarten is reduced by half. At the age of 15, even though it's only a 2.5-year, at the age of 15, it's like a 47% reduction in the chance that child has had interaction with law enforcement. So incredible out. But when the state started looking at the federal funding came through the state, and then the state started doing some funding and really saw some incredible outcomes. And I think you probably know this, the state is really focused on infant mortality. How many babies in our state die before their first birthday? And we ranked really, really low, 44th in the country. So the state decided, let's invest heavily in nurse family partnership and some other programs similar. So we went from, a variety of ways, but basically one county with one team in serving 200 families in 2011 to today, 2025, serving 4,400 families in all 92 counties.
Wow.
And for the first time since the early 1900s, we had a dramatic reduction in infant mortality in Indiana. And Nurse Family Partnership is part of it, but also just the state's focus on this population and trying to figure out ways that we can have safer births and really care for that family in that first year. So that's, for us, it's been great to be on the journey. There's 4 organizations that provide support, implementing organizations of Nurse Family Partnership in the state. So we have 62 of the 92 counties. Our Goodwill does. The Goodwill in South Bend has some counties, and there's another 2 organizations that also provide implementation. But the state has a bold investment, and it's paying off.
How many full-time employees does your organization currently have?
Yeah, probably right around 4,200. We have 6,000-ish.
6,000-ish
employees.
Employees, okay.
Yes. And about 4,200 full-timers.
Full-timers,
A lot of professional staff and teachers and nurses and administrators and a lot of retail experts. But we've got 134 nurses on staff.
Wow.
At Goodwill for the different
They're
programs.
the ones that lead the teams.
Yeah.
Okay.
And lead the team, but also, yes, they client-facing too, or mom-facing, family-facing.
Are you including now the Illinois employees as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And we haven't talked about it, but Horizon House.
Yes.
As well.
So, just in July,
you
announced the merger with Indianapolis-based Horizon House. Very quickly, what's
why?
behind that?
So we have, just like a lot of organizations, one of the obstacles that you face for the people you serve, and for us, it's the people we educate, the people we employ, and the people we serve. Having safe and affordable housing is just an obstacle that we're always dealing with. We offer opportunities for wraparound funds for the people that we employ, educate, and serve, because sometimes somebody will come to us and they work in a retail store, and you find out once they start meeting with this mission coach that they've been living under a bridge for 3 years. And we want to figure out ways to get them into housing. And it just has become more and more difficult, where somebody that's just, paid their debt to society, they're coming back and trying to find that, we employ them and then we try and find them a house, or they're trying to find themselves. It's just really, really tough. So we have, over the last couple of years, been trying to figure out how can we engage more in housing and helping this population. And we did in 2020 open a 208 unit apartment complex, workforce housing. And that helps people that work downtown and that type of thing, but it didn't really help this population that we're talking about. We're really proud of that project, but we still have people raising their hand every day. So we learned that the CEO from Horizon House, a wonderful organization, been around 37 years. They have lots of programs that help people work towards permanent supportive housing. And they do a lot of permanent supportive housing. And last year opened Compass on East Washington Street, which provides 36 units. So we saw they had some bricks and mortar experience, but they also really helped this very similar population. Goodwill has referred people to Horizon House. We employ people that go through Horizon House programs. So there is already this great partnership, but we saw the opportunity, and our board saw, and eventually their board saw the opportunity that, maybe we could amplify the efforts if we merged. So we operate right now under an affiliate agreement. So all the employees at Horizon House are now Goodwill employees. And after 3 years, it'll become a full merger. But it's a little more complicated than merging 2 Goodwills together. So we're really just grateful for this opportunity. We're already learning tons about housing and how to have impact on families through permanent supportive housing. And at the same time, wrapping some of the Goodwill resources around Horizon House and just learning from each other. And there's 100 employees that we merged with from that perspective. But we see the need beyond Marion County for the services that Horizon House provides. And that the board had a wonderful board. And that's one of the things they were excited about. Could we do more with this mission across Indiana or even across Marion County with a merger with Goodwill? So that's really fresh. The paint is still drying on that one.
When you became chief operating officer, was the organization small enough that you could sort of feel like you can contain it all in your head? Like you kind of knew everybody that needed to be known. How many people were working for?
So
it
was
Central
still
Indiana?
pretty large. For Central Indiana, maybe 2,400 at the time, 2,700
when you were chief operating officer. Okay, but so it's at least double.
Yes,
currently, and then I would assume that's harder to have a sense that what's going on and who needs what.
I've had to adjust as a leader, and focus on different things. I still try and stay close to as much as possible, and but. So today we're having Lilly Global Day of Service. We have 500 Lilly employees doing work in 25 of our sites. I got back in time to stop by one of our sites and just, thank the Lilly folks. There's about 30 that were there. And then also our people. I don't get to do that as much anymore. And I really miss that part of my job from being a, chief operating officer or the VP of retail. So I don't get to go as deep into the organization as often. I still get to, but not as often. And for me, it's a part I miss. At the same time, I know as I'm doing work across the organization, it's helping provide more opportunities for people. So I get over it pretty quick, but I do miss it.
Yeah. I think if you go back to the bag boy days at Wise, where you were right there.
Yes.
I mean, you're putting things in the bags. You're saying hi to people that you know. And that I got the impression that was part of the stuff that you really enjoyed. And now it's much higher level.
It's higher level, but I still get my fix. I'm able to get into sites and into schools and into, we haven't even talked about our manufacturing or our contract work, but I'm able to get into, we've got about 150 facilities now. So I still make it part of my routine to get into them. It's just not nonstop. I was always in the car and always on the road before. But now with, board responsibilities and, other, duties as assigned, it's just not as much. And we're larger. So, where we used to have 20 stores, we're knocking on 100 now. So it's just a different, still love it, but it's just different.
Yeah. Do you, you've had a pretty busy summer. Are you still looking for growth opportunities?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And so is the board. So we had a board meeting, I don't know, it's been about 3 weeks ago. And, we're just giving them an update on how things are going. And so the somebody on the board asked about other opportunities that might, come. And, I basically said, we just need a little bit of time to get our arms around it and get, have some breathing room. And that was at the first part of the meeting. And some board members gave me a look saying, yeah, right. So by the end, I'm like, well, if it's close, maybe we would, have interest, but I'm also aware it's hard work. The teams are mobilized. They're traveling everywhere away from their families. So I also get it that, there's a pace that you got to uphold. And I think we're doing a good job, but I'm telling you, I've got a team that loves doing this type of work, and they knock it out of the park every day. So,
okay.
Which is pretty cool.
All right. So the next big one, we'll have you back and we'll see how things are going.
Okay. Yes.
If not before. Well, thanks for taking all this time to explain.
This has been great. Thank you.
My thanks again to Kent Kramer. And folks, before you get on with the rest of your week, there are several stories in the latest issue of IBJ that I want to draw to your attention. First up, the staffers at the Mayor's Action Center, the city's front line for fielding complaints and questions, feel they are underpaid and underappreciated for the vital and stressful work they perform. IBJ's Taylor Wooten reports that the workers have unionized. Also in this week's issue, Daniel Bradley details long-term planning in Noblesville to revitalize areas beyond its resurgent downtown. And Dave Lindquist throws a spotlight on a persistent problem with public art: funding maintenance when pieces fall into disrepair. Again, you can find these stories in the latest print edition of IBJ or online at IBJ.com. Now, I will say it is quite a bit easier to access all the latest business news and all of IBJ's data on Central Indiana's business, community, and economy if you're a subscriber. We're running a promotion right now that gives you complete access for $1 per week for 3 months, just to get a sense of how valuable and original our content is. Just go to IBJ.com and click on the subscribe button. And thanks again for making time this week for the IBJ Podcast. I'm Mason King.
I'm Tiffany Souter, mom of 4, wife, entrepreneur, and host of the Life of And podcast. For years, I built my life with brute force, a successful business, a growing family, and absolutely zero margin. I was tired, snappy, and felt constantly behind, and I was too afraid to admit it. Everything changed when I stopped trying to do more and started building systems that actually worked for my real life. If you too are craving more peace, more presence, and just more time for you, I'd love for you to join me on the Life of And. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast app or listen at IBJpodcast.com.
Do you want to know what really drives change in Indiana? You won't find it in sound bites, you'll find it in stories. Stories from CEOs, lawyers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and community advocates. That's the IBJ Media Podcast Network. Insightful, local, impactful. Find all of our shows by searching IBJ Media in your podcast app or visit IBJpodcast.com.
Hang in there, everybody. We'll be back again next week.